Good evening, everyone. I want to once again thank you for joining us, whether you are here in the sanctuary, joining us online, whether this is your first time at the LJS or your 100th time. I am so glad that you are here to celebrate Shabbat with us. It's powerful to know that we are connected in this room and also through technology across our city, our country, and even perhaps across the world. In just a few days, we will begin the festival of Sukkot, known as Zaman Simchatenu, the time of our joy. Sukkot is one of our harvest festivals when we enjoy good food, we have time to gather with friends and family and community, perhaps to invite guests either in our home or in a rainy sukkah to come together and share a meal and to celebrate together. Sukkot has always been one of my favorite Jewish holidays, perhaps my favorite, and I have many childhood memories of eating and doing my homework and even sleeping in a sleeping bag, all tucked in, out in the sukkah. I grew up in the United States, in Oregon, which has a climate not dissimilar from London, many gray and rainy months, but with warm summer days that make us cherish every moment of sunshine. And as you might imagine, my childhood Sukkot was always a bit rainy and cold. And when I lived in Jerusalem, I showed up the first night of Sukkot, multiple layers, a hat, scarf, coat, which led to many confused laughs from my Israeli hosts given the balmy 22 degrees Celsius temperature, because one's experience of this holiday can be radically different depending on where we are geographically and the local weather. But I have come in my life, perhaps through necessity, to find extra meaning in the raininess of Sukkot. While the festival is called the time of our joy, it is also a time that our tradition asks us to consider our own vulnerability. The Torah tells us to dwell in booths, Sukkot, to remind us of the booths that our ancestors lived in while they wandered in the wilderness. Leviticus says, "You shall live in booths 7 days. All citizens of Israel shall live in booths, in order that future generations know that I, God, made the Israelite people live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt, I, your God." We're asked to reenact this journey, remembering our reliance on God for shelter, guidance, manna, the miraculous food from heaven. The sukkah reflects this by being traditionally a temporary structure built from biodegradable material. The sukkah's fragility itself reminds us of our own vulnerability. And I remember many Sukkot in my lifetime being knocked over by windstorms, or one year even being filled with hailstones. And celebrating this holiday in a climate where cold and rainy evenings are always quite likely, that message of vulnerability resonates deeply. Moments of vulnerability can bring out many of our fears and anxieties. These moments make us question and consider our values and wonder if we are making the right choices. I know that today, many Jews in the UK and beyond are still feeling the shock and fear from the attack in Manchester yesterday. Perhaps some of you specifically chose to come to the synagogue tonight to be in community, and others have chosen to join us virtually to be in community from afar. However you have joined us today, I am so glad that you are here. I am glad that you have made the choice to join us and be here. We are strengthened by your presence and commitment to be together. For the past 10 days, we have been focusing on introspection on Rosh Hashanah, on improving ourselves on Yom Kippur, and committing to change in this new year. And this type of reflection can also make us feel raw or vulnerable, especially when it is interrupted on the holiest day. Sukkot comes as a reminder and an invitation of how we might feel in vulnerable times. First, the sukkah itself, the structure, is an invitation for camaraderie and companionship. We can invite family and friends to join us for a cup of tea, a conversation, or even a meal. In the rabbinic discussion of exactly how to build a sukkah, and they have a lot of thoughts, an open doorway remains important. We do not build a sukkah as a fortress, but as an invitation to fellowship and community. And this radical act of hospitality can be very scary. For many of us, inviting anyone outside our immediate circle of acquaintance can create feelings of anxiety, even if safety is not even a question. When someone new sits next to us at Kiddush or at a synagogue dinner, we might be wondering, will they like us? Will we like them? Do we have similar interests? Do we have similar values? And these anxieties can prevent us from taking that first risky step of saying hello and perhaps striking up a conversation with a new friend. But this is a moment when I encourage us to overcome those social fears and find connection with one another. Sukkot reminds us at this time of vulnerability that we can and should build community and new friendships. There's a tradition in some communities to invite the spirit of our biblical ancestors to join us in the sukkah. Here they are in stained glass: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Joseph, and King David. We will get to the female guests as well, do not worry. These biblical guests are meant to come and join us in the sukkah, each enjoying a night as the guest of honor who stewards the other biblical guests to join in our celebration. And in the Kabbalat, in the Jewish mystical tradition, each of them is also connected to one of the sfirot, the divine qualities, the different levels of reality. Abraham is connected to loving kindness, to chesed. Isaac is connected to gevurah, to strength. Jacob represents tiferet, beauty and harmony. Moses represents netzach, endurance. Aaron is connected to hod, to splendor. Joseph to yesod, foundation. And David represents malchut, leadership or kingship. And in the contemporary era, Jewish feminists have created their own version of this tradition, choosing 7 biblical women to represent these qualities as well. But as a newer tradition, there are many more versions of it, so there are more than 7 women often included, but they are meant to match up also to these characteristics and qualities. Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah, Tamar, Miriam, Deborah, Ruth, Abigail, Hannah, Huldah the prophetess, and Esther. And in every version of this tradition, we invite the spirits of these biblical characters to join the sukkah as honored guests, representing this collection of qualities. So I would like to offer 2 ways we might understand these mystical guests and this curious invitation. First, we welcome them as our spiritual ancestors. Throughout the high holidays, we have called upon God to remember us as God remembered our ancestors. And now we call upon those ancestors themselves, inviting them to bring their qualities and strengths to uplift us. In our family sukkah, we often ask people instead to think of someone whose spirit they'd like to invite into the sukkah. It might be a relative who has passed on, a great-grandmother who defied all odds to build a better life for her family. It might be an artist or political leader, past or present, who inspires us. It might be an unknown ancestor who carried the spirit of justice ever forward. But in this ritual, we remember that our people have faced countless challenges throughout our history, but our commitment to our values, to caring for the vulnerable, to ensure that all who are hungry may come and eat, all who are in need may find comfort and friendship, all who are in doubt may bring their questions, and all who are suffering may find relief. This commitment has ensured that not only have we survived, but we have built a loving and caring community that can sustain and carry us through challenging times. Sukkot reminds us that at a time of vulnerability, we can call upon the resilience of our ancestors, be they known or unknown, biblical or modern, mythical or real, to imbue us with their strength and carry us forward in difficult moments. I said before that each of these guests is associated with one of the Kabbalistic, the mystical sfirot, which we could understand as divine qualities or qualities of humanity. So chesed is loving kindness, gevurah can be strength, tiferet, beauty or harmony, netzach, endurance or victory, hod, splendor, yesod, foundation or connection, and malchut, leadership and receptiveness. Each of us might look at this list and see qualities that we embody naturally and those that are harder for us. Some of us may find compassion and loving kindness come easily, while judgment and justice are harder to access. Some of us may easily build connections and foundations, while others may quickly find beauty in everything around us. I invite us to not imagine these biblical guests as mystical ghosts who visit our sukkah, but rather as an invitation to cultivate the best parts of ourselves. We invite in loving kindness and hospitality. We invite in strength and justice. We invite beauty, endurance, and splendor to manifest in ourselves. We commit to building strong foundations and acting as good leaders. Sitting in this temporary, fallible shelter that all too quickly reminds us of our own vulnerability, we remember how fragile the world around us truly is, how delicate peace and safety can feel, how challenging it can be to keep our minds and hearts open to one another, and how scared we may feel when our sense of security is shaken. In that moment, as these fears swirl around us, their voices threatening to drown out all that we know is good and just and loving and bright and kind in this world, we call out an invitation to manifest goodness in this world. We call upon ourselves to cultivate loving kindness and strength and harmony, endurance and splendor and foundation and leadership. This upcoming holiday of Sukkot can remind us that at our most vulnerable moments, we must let the best of ourselves shine through. In times of fear and doubt, we must commit to not only find light, but to be that light and support for one another. So as we approach this holiday in just a few days, let's remember to hold on to our vulnerability from a place of commitment to creating a better world, to know that that world includes being kind to one another, to welcoming the stranger, and building a foundation for a stronger world. So this Shabbat, even if we sit with fear or anxiety, don't let it close us off to each other. Instead, allow it to keep the door of that sukkah open, to share experiences with each other and be together in times of joy and times of sorrow, just as we are now, knowing that our strength is in ourselves and in our community. Shabbat Shalom.